Hi, this is Brad, and the title of this top grading tips article is How Not to Top Grade a Country. Yeah, that's right, I said country, not company. This top grading tips article is just for fun. It's the story my client told of his attempt to top grade his home country by orchestrating a coup d'etat. Seriously. And over the years, I've talked to dozens of citizens of his home country, and about one third believe the following story is true, and the rest say there's some truth and a lot of exaggeration. My client CEO was a very resourceful executive, but a very bad guy. I'm very sure of both of those. Since he headed a real organization and since he is out of jail and, quote, consulting with governments all over the world, naturally I've created fictitious names. His organizations, and the country whose government he tried to overthrow. Let's say Juan, we'll call him Juan, headed a global financial services company, generally considered to be one of the most innovative in the world. Here's where his story starts, and it eventually melds into certain truths. Okay, so as a child, Juan was reared to prepare to overthrow the dictator in his country. And at 20 years of age, he made the attempt, but failed. He and his friend, or so he says, were strung up. The dictator sliced off his friend's private parts, and he bled to death. And when the dictator was about to do the same with Juan, he urinated in the dictator's face. That's right, he told me he urinated in the dictator's face. Well, the dictator decided rather than just kill him, he tortured him, and so he put Juan in a box similar to a coffin, and Juan was kept barely alive. An artist from Juan's country painted a modern picture portraying him in the box. I saw this painting in I won't say where, but anyway, yeah, I bought it, and it's still in someone's basement, and it's a picture, kind of surrealistic, of light and truth, kind of beaming off of this coffin-like box where Juan supposedly was staying. Well, the dictator was overthrown 6 months later. Juan was hospitalized another 6 months, and 20 years later, he founded his company with offices in 150 countries. To emerge from the torture box, to mold a highly respected global company, for sure required incredible resourcefulness, drive, brains, guts. But you're thinking, Brad, this guy sounds like a hero, so where's the negative? Well, you'll see. Juan hired me to help top grade the top 3 levels in the company. It was a 3-year project. Juan was the only senior executive not to go through my top grading interview process, and I told him he should participate too, so I could help build teams reporting to him that would work best with him and for him. But he said, Brad, you might find out something I don't want you to know. Indeed. Early in my consulting engagement, Juan invited me to go to Las Vegas, promising that we'd each make $250,000 his secret way, and we'd have fun. He said, hey, private jet, penthouse suite, no wives, just the guys. I'd heard that Juan fooled around a lot, but not with women inside the company. I was certainly curious as to why Vegas hotels had a business model in which they would pay all of our expenses and then write us checks for $250,000. But I didn't ask. I felt the question might sound a little sarcastic. It frankly did not occur to me that Juan had a gambling addiction because he showed me his net worth. One day I was in his office and he flipped the document toward me, and it showed the estate was worth $500 million. Juan had a huge personality and huge ego. I witnessed his ordering a U.S. senator to get your ass over here now. And another time I sat in on a meeting with 50 participants plus 8 translators. And Juan masterfully molded the opinions of the entire group so that he would get exactly what he wanted. Another time in a champagne event where anyone else would toast 3 heads of state with great grace and poise, Juan, because of this huge personality, got away with an outrageously dirty joke. I would have loved to have put Juan through a top grading interview and talked to people who had known him over the years because he was unique and fascinating, but that never happened. The top grading engagement was packing the organization with talent, and Juan was doing well as the leader, so it really didn't occur to me that Juan's idiosyncrasies might include stealing from the company. When my top grading assignment was over, we had a final dinner in Washington, D.C. at the Watergate Hotel. We toasted each other, said goodbye, and I left wondering what the heck I didn't know about Juan. Anyway, 2 weeks later, the FBI marched into Juan's office, and just as in the first Wall Street movie, remember that? He did the perp walk. Juan, it turns out, had bribed 10 consultants, contractors, and others to give him kickbacks on their contracts, and apparently to support his gambling habit. He'd take people to Las Vegas, get them girls, get them drunk, persuade them to participate in the kickbacks schemes. And so the corrupt consultants didn't even have to do much work, which actually caused them some legal problems, which is proper. I'm proud I was the only one of the consultants serving this company, only one of the consultants and contractors who was never even called by the FBI. I guess because there were so many of my reports that they figured I actually did the work for which I was paid. Anyway, Juan tried to frame someone else to take the fall for stealing and taking kickbacks and so forth, but it didn't work. So he went to jail. He was released 3 years later, returned to his home country. He came back into the United States and he was arrested again and jailed again for some additional illegality. So, phew! When I suspected that Juan was a sociopath, didn't I walk away from the engagement? Well, I didn't know that he had bribed anyone. I didn't know he was a sociopath. I knew he had idiosyncrasies. Didn't know anything about kickbacks. I didn't know he had broken any laws. And I had only heard vague rumors of his trips to Las Vegas, which I assumed really didn't have anything to do with kickbacks. Anyway, as mentioned, Juan had shown me the figures in his huge estate, and in retrospect, it appears he did have a gambling habit. And when the truth came out, I wasn't actually totally shocked. But I do wonder how much of Juan's darker side I might have learned had he participated in the full top grading process. So that's the story of Juan. Some of it I know to be true. Some I don't know if it is true, but he was certainly the most unusual person I've ever interviewed of 6,500 interviews. Next time we'll have a serious top grading tips article, but until next time, top grade your team and you will top grade your profits.